everyone. Today I've got 3 quick tips for you to help make your blobby birds even better. These are easy for everyone to do and will add even more charm and life to all your paintings, not just your blobby birds. So let's jump in. Tip number 1 is bigger brushes. Everybody, when they first start watercolor, is tempted to use a small brush. There are lots of reasons for this. One, and the main one, being that you don't want to spend too much money on a brush, so you end up with something like this, a small round. This is a size 7. Discard this. You don't need that. What you need is something bigger. So if you're starting with this, I suggest that you go up to a quill brush. For example, this one from Meeden, or Paul Rubens have them as well on Amazon, at least a size 6, and you will find immediately that your painting is freer and much more fun to do. If by any remote chance what you're painting with resembles this is a size 5, this is a size 5 round, what you should go up to then is one of these, which is a hake brush or hake brush, which is a Japanese or Chinese brush, which will definitely give you much freer results. So that's my tip number 1, use bigger brushes. So let's get started with that, and I'll show you what I mean. This bird needs to get out of the way. So you pick up your bigger brush. This one is a size 8 Meeden Quill brush, and they're very good value actually on Amazon, or if you go to the Meeden website, you can get it there with 15% off if you use Diane 15. So that's just to buy your way. Now I'm just wetting the outside, the whole of the inside area of this bird with my big brush. And the reason I do that is to make the paint actually move. Then I'm going into my Kuretake set and I'm picking up a reasonably good amount of paint, and I'm just going to drop that into the center and let that move around. Okay, if you feel that's not moving enough, just add a few more dots of water, and then you can clean off your brush and pick up some indigo, which I think is here, and lots of indigo. You could use indigo, you could use black, you could use purple. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to come up with here. I think it might be a mixture of black and indigo. And then, yes, that looks like black. So we'll just pop that in, maybe find a bit more blue. And we put that in here. Okay, so you can do all of this with your big brush and nice sweeping strokes to give you an interesting effect. Okay, so that's what we do in order to get at the basis of our blobby bird in place. And then we're going to let it dry. You can, as I said, add more texture by just dropping in some drops of water. You'll be surprised what will happen if you do that. That's quite interesting too. So we'll just let that dry. And meanwhile, I'll tell you a little bit about tip number 2. Tip number 2 is how to place your beak, eye, and feet or legs so that they are well positioned. Now, the way I do it, especially if I'm trying to get a particularly good effect, I use a piece of tracing paper, okay? And for reference, if you get hold of this, which is our Blobby Bird's Build-A-Bird challenge, which is going on this month, and you can download this from our website. You've got lots of shapes on here that you can copy or trace, and that gives you ideas for things like legs and feet, beaks and eyes, and wings, and bodies, and everything, okay? So that's available for everybody on our website, so do go over and have a look. I'm just doing the other thing, which I always do, is let the paint kind of smush around so that you get all sorts of interesting effects. And this is the basis basically for doing this, which is, if you go and have a look at our main video that's been up for a while on our website, you'll find that there. Now you're allowed to go down to a slightly smaller brush, but don't go too small. You can go down to something like this one, for example. This is a size 12 Princeton Aqua Elite. And I'm going to think about putting on the legs and the beak and the tail and the wings next. So tip number 2, position the eye. Very important, and the legs. I use tracing paper for this. I use tracing paper because I can see what the legs are going to look like when I put them in position. Okay, so you can do this and you can decide which shape of leg you prefer. I think that one looks quite good. And for the eye, once this is dry, you can come in with your tracing paper and you can position that on top of your painting until you feel it's in the right place. Okay, I can't put that down to show you properly at the moment because it's not dry. But I can put in the beak. And the way I do that often, we're just going to put in a little shape, a little triangle like that. And once we've got the beak in, then we can position the eye better. So we'll put the beak in there. I like to have my birds with their beaks pointing upwards because it makes them look much more optimistic. And then for the legs, I think I'll go for this one. So we'll just, what I'll do is I'll draw the legs down using my brush. You can use a pen if you want. And just shape it like that. And I'm giving him some fluffy. Sometimes when you start doing this, you suddenly have a really good idea. And the idea of doing fluffy feathers around the top of his legs is quite cute, I think. So we do that. Okay, so he now has his legs. And now what I'm going to do now is quickly dry it, and I'll be back in a second. Okay, so that's dry now. And now what we have to do is try to decide where to put the eye. So I've got 3 different eye shapes here on this piece of tracing paper. And you could try putting this one here. And you can see that that could be quite fun. There's no reason why you shouldn't do that. That would look quite fun. Or you could make a sleepy bird with a closed eye like that. That's also quite fun, as you can see. Or you could go traditional and just put an eye of the normal kind of type. And you can see as I move it around that there are places where it looks kind of better than other places. A lot of people put their eyes far too high or too far back. And that's not really very birdy. So they need to be quite close to the beak. And usually about here, so kind of in line with the point of the beak. So that's where I would probably put my bird's eye. In this case, I should probably do it like that. So we're going to do something like this. Okay, and then you carry on, do the beak and do the wings and everything else. And if you want to see the details of all of this being done, take a look at the main video over on YouTube, which will be linked in a QR code on the screen and also in the description below. So if you want to see how it finishes off, do that. But my third tip is to layer your paint. So you have your starter layer here, and now you want to come in with another layer for the wing, for example. And I suggest using a darker version of the color that you started with. So we started with red, and we're going to mix that with some black. And so we're going to get a nice kind of chestnut color, and choose a wing shape, perhaps from here, from the options on our Build-A-Bird challenge from this month, this month, and then just draw with paint a nice wing on top. Make it a little pointed if you like. And so there you are. When that dries, that'll be a little bit lighter than it is right now, but it will give you a nice wing that you can then embellish later on. So there we are. That's the 3 tips. If you enjoyed these tips, do check out my latest full tutorial on YouTube by scanning the QR code on the screen now, or find the link in the description below. So I hope to see you over there, where you'll find out all the ways in which this turns into this. So take care, and I will see you again soon. Bye for now, everybody. Bye-bye.